I recall being rewarded a small keychain as a youngster in Sunday school for memorizing the Beatitudes. Attached to the keychain was a mustard seed encased in plastic, meant to remind me of Jesus' words about the faith of a mustard seed, which I thought was pretty cool. But I treasured it because of all the effort I had put into the memorization. Because all of the Beatitudes began with the word blessed, it was easy to get them out of order. And if I'm honest, I still do. And I still have a tendency to forget which reward goes with which blessing. Are the pure in heart blessed because they will see God, or is it because they will be called children of God? I wish our Sunday school teacher had asked us to memorize Luke's version of the Beatitudes instead of Matthew's, because there are less than half as many of them, and they aren't as wordy as Matthew's Beatitudes, but instead get to the heart of the matter. For instance, instead of Matthew's, "Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled," Luke records Jesus as simply saying, "Blessed are you who are hungry now, for you will be filled." But the differences between the two sets of Beatitudes go beyond their word count. Matthew's takes place in a mountain, while Luke's takes place on a level plain. Matthew's Beatitudes are more spiritualized when it refers to poor in spirit and those who hunger and thirst after righteousness, while Luke's are point blankly directed to the poor and the hungry. While Matthew is satisfied with just blessings, Luke pairs each of the blessings with a woe. "Woe to you who are full now, for you will be hungry. And woe to you who are rich, for you have received your consolation." So what's going on? Did Jesus offer two different versions of the Beatitudes? Or is one version truer to Jesus' actual words? And if so, which one? Which do we go with? And although we may not be able to arrive at a satisfactory answer for these questions, what we can say about both sets of Beatitudes is Jesus appears to be telling his audience that there is more to our existence than just the here and now. It's so easy to find ourselves trapped in the here and now, though. When we're ambushed by a tsunami of executive orders that threaten our human rights, we panic that this is the way it will always be. The hungry and homeless will continue to live a hand-to-mouth existence. Immigrants and refugees will be forced to always live under the radar. Transgender and same-sex loving people will always be targets of hatred. If we can muster any prayer at all, it sounds closer to the lament of the psalmist who wrote, "O Lord, I cry out to you. In the morning my prayer comes before you. O Lord, why do you cast me off? Why do you hide your face from me?" But Jesus seems to be telling his audience that nothing is permanent. If you're suffering physically, mentally, or spiritually, God cares about your circumstances, and relief is in your future. And if you feel as if you've finally arrived and you believe your privilege can shield you from suffering, watch out, because sooner or later that will change too. What Jesus was saying is there is a now in which we exist, but there is also a not yet. Martin Luther King Jr. talked about that now and not yet to 250,000 people in August 1963 in front of Washington D.C.'s Lincoln Memorial. He spoke of the now when he said, "The Negro still is not free. The Negro is still sadly crippled by the manacles of segregation and the chains of discrimination. The Negro lives on a lonely island of poverty in the midst of a vast ocean of material prosperity. But he wasn't trapped in that now, for he went on to famously prophesy of a new day, a not yet, when he said, "I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream. I have a dream that one day little black boys and black girls will be able to join hands with little white boys and white girls as sisters and brothers." But many of us feel so weighed down by our nows that we aren't able to imagine that there's a not yet for us. Troy Perry, the founder of our denomination, couldn't see beyond his now when he attempted suicide in 1968 after his lover announced that their relationship was over. He writes, "I felt like a total failure at everything. I felt that there was no one I could talk to. I felt shut off from everyone. Nothing seemed worth anymore. And nothing seemed worth anything anymore. Nothing had any value. There seemed to be no future, only darkness." So he took a razor to his veins. Fortunately, some friends found him, tied up his wrists with cloths, and rushed him off to the emergency hospital. He was introduced to his not yet when a nurse reached down and stuck a religious magazine into his hands and said, "Here, some of us care about you." He writes, "Her words hit me like a slap in the face. It snapped me out of my depression just to hear that someone cared." And Troy went on to save an untold number of lives with the founding of a movement of churches that proclaimed God's inclusive love. His not yet would entail advocating for gay rights and AIDS awareness in the 1970s and 80s. As well as performing the first public same-sex wedding in the United States in 1969. Whether you're a fan of Matthew's version of the Beatitudes or you prefer Luke's version, the message is the same. Your now is not forever. There's a not yet in your future. So hang on. You who are poor are blessed, for the reign of God is yours. You who are hungry now are blessed, for you'll be filled. You who weep now are blessed, for you'll laugh. And you who feel trapped by the now in which you are living are blessed, for there is still a not yet with your name on it. Amen.